Killing her 17-month-old daughter by throwing her off a hotel balcony. It is truly a sickening crime as we dive into the details of this event, her mental health, and some backstory. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't care nothing about no mental health. If you knew that you was going through something mentally, but you felt like you were not stable, why get pregnant? After getting pregnant, all right, that's one step, getting pregnant. After getting pregnant, why not opt to give the baby up for adoption? That's the second step. After giving birth and, looking into the adoption thing, why not give the baby to another family member? If you feel like you are not in the right headspace to take care of a child, there's no excuse for this. This is disgusting behavior right here. I don't care what nobody say.
Really sad story out of Galveston, Texas we got to talk about. We have a woman who is accused of throwing her 17-month-old daughter off a hotel balcony, killing her. This is just awful. 30-year-old Chanel Yanko has been charged with capital murder in the death of her toddler, Hannah. According to a probable cause affidavit that was authored by Detective Matthew Larson, we learned a lot more details about this. So I want to start when Larson describes arriving on the scene after receiving a call about this unresponsive child bleeding on the road. Quote, the affiant observed a white blanket half on a sidewalk and half on the street. The affiant observed a small pool of blood on the street. The affiant observed the scene to be located on the east side of Beachfront Palms Hotel. It goes on to say the affiant observed that the child was already in an ambulance and left for the hospital shortly after. The affiant was notified at 10:34 a.m. that the child's death was pronounced by hospital personnel. Detective Rogers was at the hospital and advised to the affiant at 10:44 a.m. that there were 3 puncture wounds on the child. So now we have this idea.
So she was torturing him?
Injuries as well.
She was torturing the girl too?
A man named Brandon Uribe apparently saw, or was the one who actually found Hannah's body on the street, told ABC 13 it was heartbreaking to see that, to see a little precious, beautiful, perfect little girl laying there lifeless.
I can only imagine, man. You know how much trauma that you get from that? You're looking at a child, maybe that guy who found the baby can't have kids. Maybe he always dreamed of being a father, just never got the opportunity. And then just seeing that baby like lifeless on it. I mean, that'll tear most people's brain apart. I don't care how strong or how tough you feel like you are. To see a baby like that just lifeless on the street, you gotta have a different type of mental to be able to deal with that. This is just disgusting behavior though. And this lady, why did nobody, like, you can't tell me nobody around her saw the fact that she was spiraling or saw anything wrong, nothing wrong with her. Like, if the mental health was that serious, somebody should have saw something. But I don't hear them mentioning nothing about family doing this or saying this. I don't see none of that.
Now, in terms of the defendant, the affidavit continues. Officer Wilkie advised that he put out a description of a female who left from the location of where the baby was found, who possibly was a witness. Officer Reyes advised that a short time later, he observed a female matching the description that Officer Wilkie had put out in the 6700 block of Seawall Boulevard. The affiant learned from Officer Reyes that the female was crying and asking Officer Reyes for help. The affiant learned from Officer Reyes that the female then began to be making comments about her daughter and that she might have been sick. And then the affidavit explains that Yanko was taken to the police department, advised that she wished to speak to a lawyer. She apparently wouldn't even give her name. But here's what's interesting. Larson apparently ended up interviewing Yanko's sister, Mercedes, who's at the police station. Okay.
It's sad to see that there are so many people who are struggling mentally in America that, for whatever reason, are either afraid to go for help don't have the means to get the help, don't know where to go. I don't know. Those may all be excuses, but this is terrifying to think that somebody who gave birth to a child that was their own would chuck it off a balcony. That's something to really think about, man.
Now, before I go any further, because I will tell you there was an officer who spoke to the sister here when we got more details, I want to bring on Dr. April Alexander, forensic psychologist, to talk more about this sister, Mercedes, who was at the police station. And it reads, the affiant interviewed Mercedes Yanko, who advised that she was sharing a room at the Beachfront Palms Hotel with her sister, Chanel Yanko, and Chanel's daughter. Mercedes advised that Chanel had come to Galveston several days to see Mercedes. Mercedes stated that on the morning of the 23rd, she gathered with Chanel, and then the name of the daughter is redacted, to begin checking out the hotel. Mercedes stated that she got a ride to the Victorian, which appears to be this condominium, this hotel, to try to talk to her fiancé, Charles. However, it continues, and this is a really strange part.
They're really giving me IG model vibes, man. Like these two chicks, women who are, excuse me, very self-centered and only thinking about themselves. That's just my personal opinion. I may be laying judgment too early. This mental health thing is interesting because I haven't really seen where it's coming into play, but let's see.
Mercedes stated that after a while, Chanel showed up to the Victorian pushing her stroller. Mercedes originally stated that Chanel showed up with her daughter. Upon further questioning, Mercedes stated that she didn't actually see the baby, but had no reason to believe she wasn't in the stroller. Mercedes stated that she told Chanel that she couldn't find Charles and was going to go back to the Beachfront Palms to gather their luggage. Mercedes stated that Chanel then told her not to go back to the hotel. Mercedes found it odd that Chanel would say that and stated that Chanel said, "Don't go back to the hotel," several more times. And the affidavit goes on to state that detectives ended up apparently finding a trash bag in a trash bin in the parking garage under that hotel. And in that bag was a key card to Chanel's room, a quote, skinning knife with a black handle, plastics and toys, unused diapers, and unopened kid snacks. And that's not even all. The affidavit also indicated that a detective apparently found footage of Chanel in the lobby of the hotel pushing Hannah in a stroller. And you know how we can tell it was Hannah in the stroller?
This is almost creepy, man.
Apparently, you can see a foot moving in the stroller. And then there is apparently video, quote, from the second story of the baby falling from what appears to be the third floor and landing on the grass and rolling onto the concrete sidewalk where the baby was found. The disappearance of baby Lisa Irwin has been a mystery.
Listen, let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys have ever fallen from like a high distance, but it definitely hurts. That's one. And when you hit the ground so hard that your body kind of like bounces up off the ground. Like it's a really heavy hit. So I can only imagine the type of pain that this child was in. This is, once again, they still have not disclosed any mental health stuff. So, I mean, I'm not going to go through this entire thing. I'll leave the link in the bio so you guys can check it out.
Tonight, a battle over immigration enforcement is boiling over after a Milwaukee County judge charged with federal crime.
Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested this morning by federal agents. She's now accused of helping this man, Eduardo Flores Ruiz. Prosecutors say he's an undocumented immigrant accused of domestic violence. The feds say Judge Dugan tried to interfere with ICE and the FBI when they tried to arrest him.
I don't understand. If you're going to become a judge, you're going to live by the law, whatever you want to call it. Why in the world would you harbor what they're claiming to be a fugitive? If you're going to fight for justice for him, that's one thing. But you knew getting caught up like this was going to get you cooked in the courtroom. And you just was like, why not? Why not? Excuse me. That's I find that hard to believe. That's crazy. Risk it all like that just because, huh?
This story has put Milwaukee in the national spotlight, and we've got team coverage from the arrest to the community, the pushback to the bigger issue that's been simmering for weeks.
We begin with Bill Miston live outside the federal courthouse.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Judge Hannah Dugan is now out of federal custody after she appeared in federal court today on 2 felony charges.
No justice, now she got no 2 felonies.
Judge Dugan will be free. As word spread Friday of Judge Hannah Dugan's arrest, let the judge be released. And the crowd of supporters outside the Milwaukee Federal Courthouse grew, the judge was whisked out the back door alongside her attorney. She had just appeared before a federal judge, charged with obstructing or impeding the arrest of an undocumented person and concealing the person to prevent the man's arrest. It's all connected to a series of events federal prosecutors say happened last Friday in and outside Dugan's county courtroom a mile away. 29-year-old Mexican national Eduardo Flores Ruiz was scheduled to appear before Dugan in a county misdemeanor battery case.
Tell me what you guys' thoughts are in the comments, because at the end of the day, maybe she was doing a good deed or felt like she was doing a good deed for somebody. But at the same time, you know how the laws work. And you being a part of that system, you should have understood, like, you got to go through this the paperwork way rather than, you know, having felony charges brought up against you. You should have knew better than that. That's my personal opinion. But y'all let me know in the comments how y'all feel.
The government says a state public defender, there for another case, told Dugan's clerk there were ICE agents in the hallway. Filings say Dugan left the courtroom and confronted the agents, telling them to go to the chief judge's office down the hall. While there, prosecutors say Dugan returned to the bench and eventually escorted Flores Ruiz and his attorney through a door that led to a non-public part of the courthouse. Filings say Flores Ruiz made it down from the 6th floor to the street, where he was arrested after a chase. Court documents say Flores Ruiz was removed from the U.S. in 2013. After Dugan's arrest, Chief Judge Carl Ashley said in a statement
the second
he's
time
restricted
he came
from
back.
commenting, and another judge will cover Dugan's calendar. She appeared in handcuffs Friday morning before a magistrate judge. The hearing lasted about 3 minits. Dugan was eventually released on her promise to come back to court.
No justice.
All as a crowd.
I don't know. Jeez, I don't know what's going on in my throat. I don't know how to feel about this, just to be honest. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot to unpack. It seems like the guy was in the country illegally twice. I don't know. I know some people feel some type of way about that. I don't really have a crazy hard stance on it. As long as people are not causing problems in the country, I feel. But then again, if there's no way to track them, then there's no way to be able to tell if they're causing problems in the country as well. This is a rough one. So yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Alright, y'all. So this is going to be the end of the video. Hopefully you guys like what you saw. Hopefully you guys watch to the end as well. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Click all, that way you can be notified anytime that I upload. Join the Discord, link is in the bio. Also the links to the original videos will also be in the bio. It's unfortunate that some of these situations happen, but you know, we got to keep moving forward. Thank you guys for all your time, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.